things you're saying. So you have given us what you've been talking about across social media. And so let's get straight to some of them. Bukola Kayode, who takes this?
I think we could just start off with the updates to the conversation we had yesterday with the Ogun State Police Command concerning social media user, or TikTok user, with the handle Mirabel, where she had alleged she was raped after she had taken alcohol to sleep, and alleged that the attacker then messaged her to taunt her. And of course, you know how the social media reacted to that. It was very emotional for a lot of people. Others said, well, the story doesn't quite add up for us. And it went back and forth. But as always, the best place to get the right information, of course, is from the authorities and our own investigation as well. So we had the Ogun State Police said that, well, she's getting some care because she was very, fragile situation, and investigation is on. And then we asked him yesterday that, so what happens if this is true? He said, well, if this is true, there will be proper investigation and prosecution of whoever is culpable. But then we asked, what if it's not true? And the Ogun State Police said, well, there will also be prosecution if this is not true. And well, the person making the allegation will, of course, be prosecuted. Well, since yesterday, voice notes have then emerged online, seem to show the lady confessing that, well, this may not have been true and all of that. It's a very, very touchy subject, I must say. But one thing is clear, the police have promised to ensure that justice is done. And it's important to also treat this case in isolation and every other case in isolation, right? Let us look at the merits of the case. Let's look at the evidence on ground. But I must tell you that this is not the kind of anticlimax that a lot of people looked forward to, particularly for this case. But what is also more important is ensuring that our young ones are properly monitored, taken care of. They get all of the support that they need. Social media is not the A to Z of life. I see a young crop of people, or a lot of young people rather, relying on social media as life. No, it is not life, okay? Your life doesn't start and end on social media, right? You need to go to school, you need to do well, you need to build a life for yourself, you need to invent things. You should see what social media is like in other countries. You should see what is happening there. It is not just about content, getting the likes, getting the clicks, trending. No, we have to build. The countries that we're relying on their social media actually built something. That's why they were able to build the social media you are using. I think that's my 2 cents, but justice must be done in this case, guys. It is.
When I heard about this story, I was a bit worried. So I don't know how the system would tackle that situation. Yeah. Because on admission on that voice note, she was talking about the fact that she used drugs that she's not supposed to use because she has insomnia. So proper conversation, or the conversation ensued to the point it appeared that maybe she was hallucinating. There's so many dimensions to it. So on one hand, you're looking at, why would you do this? Because when the real victims of similar situation come out, people may be judging based, oh, we've seen this before, and that person may not get help. So that's why it's dangerous. That's why it's criminal in that sense. On the other hand, are we also looking at a young girl who needs help as quickly as yesterday? So it's a fine line. It's a dangerous fine line that we need to cross. So what should come first? Should she be helped first, and then when her head is clear, and maybe go through the court process? It's the court that will determine, because documents will be presented, whether she did it in her right senses or not, and then they can know whether she's criminally liable for the things that they want to charge her for. So it's a very delicate situation for me. She's a young girl, and it's worrying. But the bigger fear for me is people always there are people that resort to social media and they get help, either financial help or, there are different people come through for them. Let the genuine case not pop up tomorrow, next, some other time, because we know these things happen. And then everybody says, We've seen this before, and then we lose our young people to this situation. So it's very delicate for me. I'm not sure which way, but for me, if I was to recommend, let them give her all the help she needs now, and then probe it further to know whether there was a point in this whole situation where she had a bit of a clear eye, and then deliberately just stunned all of us, or this was just a bad situation based on what she's ingested.
You know, Kad, I'd like to cue behind you on the point about social media not being the beginning and the end of our lives. And unfortunately, that's where we seem to find ourselves today. We, as the millennials and, you know, as subsequent generations before us, must take responsibility for the younger generation. How old is this TikToker who has found herself in dire straits as far as her mental health is concerned, who has taken responsibility for this TikToker? Who are her parents, who are her guardians? A very young person,
right,
you know, whose conversation subsequently with an influencer has revealed that she may have been combining drugs that, you know, knowledge could only have come from the social media space. So it's a very, very tricky situation. We must reduce social media use time from this current generation. And, you know, in getting justice, we must also balance the need to protect her because of her mental health, and of course in also ensuring some form of accountability in that situation as well.
All right, that's how much we can take. Thank you so much for your time. I'm Jeffrey Zong. Bye-bye.
We're back again next week. Have a pleasant weekend. Bye now.
Be safe out there. I'm Carried Okike, Sunrise Days.